Hi, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name's Kerry. I live in the UK, and I love to see everyone come and watch my videos and interact with me. It's a wonderful crafty community we've got on here. So I went to the North Welsh coast. This is near Talibont, the Talibont near Bangor, not the Talibont near Barmouth. And it's a little beach by nature reserve. I recently was lucky enough to buy myself a fuumuui pochade box and some Rosa watercolours, all paid for by myself, no sponsorship or business dealing. I was given vouchers, and this is what I chose to spend my vouchers on. I took it on this trip for the purpose of testing it out. I don't think I did too bad a job. I was gonna paint the whole thing, but the camera harness I'd got to wear it like a body cam didn't actually function. So I have a second tripod on order, so next time I paint on plein, we will film the whole thing. And then we moved along to Penmen Mawr, which is again further along the A55 if you're heading towards Chester. It was very windy there, as you can see. There was a bit of a chop on, so I didn't paint there, although I have in the past, and it's lovely sitting, painting Puffin Island and the Great Orme and things. It's gorgeous scenery. And I took some pictures to paint at home. This is Pensan, again, further along. We just kept stopping off. I did paint here. It was absolutely baking. So as soon as I wet anything, it dried again. So it was a very basic picture. My husband took a sneaky picture of me to show my daughter, so I included it. You can be terrified by the side of my head. And I don't think I did too bad, given the fact that it was quick, it was hot, and everything dried. Right, let's take these pictures and have another go. So we're back on the kitchen table. I have got a tripod on order so that next time I paint on plein, I can set up my new pochade on a tripod and have a camera tripod as well. It was very much a last minute trip, and it was a test run for the things that I'd just got. So I haven't got the pochade for this one. I've got my at-home paints. I do have the painting that I painted. This weird bit was where the clip was. And I like it, and it shows progression. But I also thought I could re-render it and improve it a bit more. And I was watching a video of a man who does a lot of plein air painting called James Potter, and he sometimes does like a study outdoors, and then when he goes back to his studio he expands on that and, you know, learns more from it. So I took areas that I wanted to improve on. I definitely wanted a more defined, this is Penrhyn Castle near Bangor in North Wales. I wanted, because although I did do shadow tones, it become a bit amorphous. It become a bit of a blob. And the house, it didn't really have much definition. This is like an old kind of wooden pier that's decayed away, but just looks like lines. I wanted the cormorant better. I love cormorants. I wanted the swans more defined. A bit more texture in the rock. I did do an attempt at drawing in trees, but it looked way too busy. It was making my eye go a bit. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the trees in, because I was quite happy with the trees, more or less, and improve how I paint the layers in. And then when the painting's dry, if I feel like any areas need a little bit of definition, I'll go in. So I'm going to keep that there because it's a very good record of what I saw, because I'm recording on my phone and that's where the photograph is, which isn't very clever. So we're going to wet our brush. I'm going to get a flat brush first and just wet our paper a little bit with clean water. I've also reduced the amount of sky as well, for better or for worse. Let's mix a bit of a sky colour. We're gonna need it a bit paler. It was a very lovely blue day. It was glorious weather. In fact, if anything, I had to be really careful of being in the sun. So we don't mind if it's bright blue. Let's just test it on our paper towel first. Yeah, let's have a go. Because we need strongest blue at the top, going lighter at the base. I did notice myself getting a bit better with certain elements. There's still a long way for me to learn, but at the same time I did notice progression, which is really lovely. I'd noticed in painting the sky that I'd learned things from Ingeborg Vice and her book Painting Landscapes, where she starts with a stronger blue and she gradually dilutes it down, getting lighter and lighter. And I'd never done that before. If I painted a sky, I just I just painted what I thought the sky looked like, probably because I kind of see things as how I think they should be, kind of. So now we are going to start going on the water as well while we're at it. Now the water's going to reflect the sky. And I'm going to do this wet on dry this time because I don't really want the paint flowing everywhere. Because I do have some areas like the swans and things that I wouldn't mind keeping. This was a lovely little beach. It was in a village. There's more than one Talibont in North Wales. This was the one near Bangor. And there's a little nature reserve and some bird hides and things that I've visited in the past. And this was the beach just further down. Now when you turn off the A55, it is down a single track country road. There are farms along that road. You know, you've got to keep your wits about you for walkers and tractors and things, you know. Just be careful. It's not, you know, it's not terrible, but at the same time, you do need a degree of care. Let's begin our stony beach. Here we go. I think that's a bit more like it. Make it a bit more loose. This is just my base colour. So for this first layer, I'm just getting my basic washes in. Darken this grey a little bit. I really enjoyed this day painting actually. I not only for, you know, a clearly improved, but I'd tried things and experimented, and when those things pay off, you know, it is really nice. Now those rocks were more brown, so I won't mess with those. Our house needs a bit of grey. It was a white rendered house. And first time I'd painted it, it was very, I mean, you could only really notice it was a house because it looked like it had windows and a chimney. It wasn't really, a house. Lift that a little bit. I think I shall have a go at Penryn Castle. It is more brown. It's not really like your traditional kind of grey stone castle. There's a grey tinge to the stone, but not like a definite one. Right, so I'm just painting the lighter sides. And surfaces. And then I'm going to make it a little bit darker. For this side. And then darker again. For like the quad, the inside. And then between the colours and the values being more distinct, and it'll be even better when it dries. And it being a bit bigger, and the pen lines, it just makes it look like what it is. Because it was really bothering me on the day, because it could have been anything. I remembered getting very, very frustrated and saying to me, to my husband, it looks like it, you know, it could even be a piece of toast, which of course it wouldn't be a piece of toast. However, right, so let's get a bit into these stones and a little bit of reflection, which I will work on that one a little bit. Because I will just make them a bit more blended in and a bit more gentle. To do some different colours on the stones. Just keep gradually darkening the values. The paint's drying quite quickly today. There are some areas where it is a little bit wet, but on the whole, it's a very grey day here today, but it's also a very humid and warm day. I mean, on over the weekend when I painted the original, I'd spritzed my watercolours to activate them, and I thought, right, I'll spritz it more because it's going to dry, and I spritzed and spritzed it, and then it just vanished. So yeah, it was an extremely hot day. We went to this nature reserve, we went to Penmaenmawr, which is just a little further down the A55 towards Chester. And we didn't paint there because it was incredibly windy, and my husband joked and said that I was probably gonna chase after my painting towards the Great Orme at Llandudno, and I really don't think he was far wrong. So I'll get the first colour in on my glorified sticks. Give a bit of je ne sais quoi to that. You know, and this is all a really good learning curve for me. I'm going to add some shadow around where the seaweed is going to be. And around the base of the rocks. And along the edge of the beach. Might have a widdy go at some sand. That one's very bright. Let's have a look. So this is very much a darker yellow, so it's not the lemon yellow, but it's a darker yellow, and then more of a yellow ochre mixed together. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad sand colour, really. And then I want to thin it a little bit, because there is like where this goes across and that goes behind it. So this needs to be a little lighter in values. Because it's further away. That's it. That's it. Right, so then I'm going to warm this sand colour up with some brown. Make a darker tone at the edge where the shadows of the trees are going to be. Again, make that one lighter. And do a little bit for where the sand gets wet. can move back to our blues, because I want to darken these values. And make some shadow. Just want to edge that a little bit, and make it a little darker even still. Just blend them a little bit because I don't want them to look abrupt. That's it. Now I'm just going to pause for a little moment while I clean my palette, and I'll clean the planet too if you want. And we can start on our greens. See you in a bit. Right, I'm back. So we're going to go from the back to the front. So our greens are going to go from paler because they're further away to darker in layers going down. We're going to start our seaweed, and it's going to be the lightest tone first because that's how you work with watercolour, light to dark. So my palest green is probably this one. Get some water. Although they were fir trees, so I'm just going to give it a slight edge with this one. Or maybe even this one. Just to try and, yeah, just trying to make it more representative of what I could see. So I don't think I did too bad. Some of them went a bit wild, but they weren't too bad. So obviously you wouldn't work over your palette like this. I'm just trying to put as much for you in the shot so you can see what I'm using and the palette and everything. So if I'm a bit clumsy, and I'm just trying to make little marks so that it's like making little triangles on the way down. around the house. It is now a house, miraculously enough. And the castle that is a castle and not a piece of toast, which is always good. Now, this island, I'm going to water down my paint even more, because the row of trees at the back need to be barely there. I've made a better gap as well between the two as well, because you couldn't really tell that that was one and another. However, I was working around my bulldog clip at the same time because it was so windy that day. There was no way I was just going to try and like take it off for a second. So I'm going to get a really light bright green, might even put a little bit more yellow in it. I didn't rinse that brush off very well there at all. Get that out of there. And this more yellowy green is going to be the base colour for my seaweed, because it was quite a bright green underneath with like the darker tones, because there was shadow kind of. Oh, that was seaweedy as well. Silly me. So I'm going to get a darker brown and just do the shadow areas on these posts. I'm going to add a little bit of that brown into my first green. Now the second row of trees was more, they weren't fir trees, they were lobby trees. I don't really think that's different in value enough, so I'm going to change that. Let's try this. No, I think I need much more pigment in that, so I'm going to get a lot of paint. Now let's have a look. That's a bit better. And I don't have to be quite as obsessive about one pine tree from another, because this really was like a full layer of bushy deciduous trees. then, because that's farther away, I'm going to get a paler version of it. Slightly darker paler version of it. That's it. Dry my brush off. Tiny bit of water, because this then can be another shade in my seaweed. And then this one can be my brightest layer of my trees. And then a teensy lighter version of it. On that island as well. And slightly blend. Then I'm going to get a really dark brown. And just do like it's a little bit of wood grain. And these features here. On the castle. Might also do some darker spots. Okay. Let's see how this gouache is. Oh no, that's better. It's better than it was over the weekend. I have got some tube gouache coming, and I think I might start using gouache straight from the tube because I'm having a bit of trouble with this one of re-moistening it. Far too dark. I am wondering if this white watercolour goes goes on any better, because at the minute I'm destroying all the very good work that I did to my sky. Yeah, I'm really not into that gouache that I've currently got at all. I'm gonna roll fire with gouache until I get my tube gouache. At the moment this is white watercolour, and they do say that white watercolour basically is gouache, but it is quite runny. Putting the odd tree trunk in. And I'm just using some of this darker green to like make a bit of a bushier front layer of each tree. Because you would see a bit more definition on this layer. And some of the pale green just in this mid canopy layer. So that would be only really seen a little bit at the bottom here. Some even darker brown. Actually, might be more of a grey brown, because when I watched a video by Paul Clark, he said that shadows are a darker colour of the thing that it's shining across. So I've done a darker grey because all the light's going that way. Those bigger rocks might have a little one. Just trying to help these swans out a little bit more. And cormorant will look a bit better with a bit of definition. Right. Right. I'm going to stop fiddling. Stop messing about with it. So, I believe there is an improvement. There's more improvements to be made. I still want to improve Pebbly Beach texture, so I'm going to research that. When the trees dry, I'm going to see if they just need a little tiny bit of outline. But when I did that one, there was just far too many individual trees. So I want it to be a little bit looser. And maybe when it dries, I might do pastel for the clouds instead to make it look better. However, it's been learning, and I am actually happier than I sound with it because there's clear progress, and that was the goal this year, to progress, and I'm doing that. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much if you're wonderful, and you like and subscribe and comment. Your support and your encouragement just means the world. And every time I see another like or another subscribe or a comment, especially Denise, shout out Denise, me little joy reaction comes out. So yeah, I love interacting with you all, and I hope that in a small way I brighten up your day. Thank you to all the amazing artists who teach me: Inga Buidavice, Paul Clark, James Potter, Sarah Burns, Sarah Dandelion Cray, Emma Lefebvre. Oh my gosh, so many, so many. Ellen Crimini Trent, just a whole host. So give them a subscribe and a follow if you haven't, because if you enjoy being taught how to paint, I mean, these people really really paint. And stay safe, stay kind, stay wonderful, and get crafting. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Okay, so we're all nice and dry. I'm experimenting with this overhead tripod stand. Sorry. Because when I go on my summer hauls, this so far isn't too bad for filming in a hotel or something if you're doing a postcard or whatever, like I did in Cambridge. So we're going to do some definition and just top up the odd little area. I have, while this was drying, watched another video about painting pebble beaches, so next time we shall see if it improves any. Just going to do some definition to the tree layers. This is just a 0.1. It's a waterproof fine liner from Jackson's Art. I order a lot from Jackson's Art, and I order a lot from the art shop in Skipton. Because they not only have fantastic products, but they have really good in terms of the way that they package things so that it gets to you pristine, and they always deliver not only promptly enough, but with the kind of delivery companies that will actually bring them to you at all. Because I made no mistakes of the fact that our postie is fab. and the ladies who come to our house from every year are also fab. The DPD guys are fab. The Yodel lady's wonderful. But if a company uses DHL, they'll only be used once. Put it that way. Let's do some bushes. And just a little definition around the tree trunks. I know I said earlier that each individual tree was too much early, but this looks better because I'm not doing as solid a line. I could probably still get away with using less and it look more loose, but we're a work in progress. Some little bits of grass sticking up. I'm sorry, I'm rocking our kitchen table a bit. Sorry, doing this and it's knocking the tripod a bit. There were some birds flying over. The swans had a bit more about the beak. Around the wing. Ah, me mate the cormorant. As a child, I didn't have tea parties with Barbie, etc. I had tea parties with the cormorants and I fed them fish because if you feed them cake, they get ill. Yeah. However, they loved it, you know. Let's chop up some of this. And I'm going to put this into this year's watercolour calendar because I've seen Let's Make Art and Emma Jane Lefebvre doing a watercolour calendar and I thought that looks absolutely ace. I want to go because previously I've always done the photo calendars and got them printed. So this time I bought a watercolour paper calendar from a company on Etsy. And we're going to do a mix of painting in it and painting on a piece and then mounting it. Because I don't want to waste a good painting because I haven't done it in the calendar. But yeah, there probably would be a bit of a reflection of the cormorant. And of the swans. So yeah, I think this will go in that. And I'm umming and ahhing. I'll see how I get on with this watercolour paper one. But the year after I might go back to having it printed. But I might do paintings and take a picture of the paintings and have it printed. We'll just see, because as well, our calendar goes in our kitchen. So 12 months of the watercolour paper being hung up in our kitchen. We was cooking, and we do sometimes have to hang laundry up and stuff. I'm not sure, however, we shall see. So because this painting clearly says that it was painted in June at the bottom, I'm going to use it for June. Otherwise, I make no secret of the fact that I have genuine OCD, and between the fact that the discrepancy would set my brain on fire, but also I have a tendency to suddenly become really anxious about things that don't really matter because I've suddenly decided the bad luck or something. You know, you've made all your luck for that year go wrong because you've put the wrong date on the thing. I don't know, but trust me, OCD gives you magical thinking, and that'll do it. So double-sided tape, down we go. Straighten it down. I am rather very extremely pleased. And I could possibly, you know, zhuzh around things. But so far, that's really nice. I'm proud of that. Oh.